Why do I feel that this operation will become extremely dangerous? Zhou Qiu sat near Zhang Yi's hand, frowning her pretty brows with a worried look. Are the opponents this time that scary? Didn't they say there were only 13 of them? Zhang Yi silently shook his head. I don't have any information about them, so naturally, there's nothing to go on. However, I believe that after this battle, the Jiangnan region definitely collected information about them. We'll know when we go over there and take a look. Yang Xia tightly wrapped her arms around him, her soft body next to his, and sighed lightly, going off to war again. I'm really worried that something will happen to you. Now, Zhang Yi had become the backbone of everyone in the shelter. Only when Zhang Yi was around could they live a peaceful life. No one wanted anything to happen to him. Zhang Yi smiled faintly and reached out to put his arm around her soft waist, feeling her marvelous figure. Don't worry about it, I know in my heart what to do when the time comes. I, Zhang Yi, have a rule of life: if I reach the world, I will help the world; if I am poor, I will be alone. When the time comes, I will act under the premise of protecting myself and will not try to be a hero. And this time, it's the Jiangnan region that's leading the charge, so it's definitely the investigation team that will be the main force. We'll just be fighting to support them. After a brief explanation, Zhang Yi put on his equipment and immediately planned to set off. After communicating with Lan Xinqing on his side, Blizzard City's special train would drive over to pick him up and take him there. Soon after, he was preparing to leave the shelter with Liang Yu, who was also heavily armed, to drive the snowmobile to the station. Before walking to the car, Zhang Yi sent a message to Xing Tian, Xiao Honglian and Chen Jingguan, telling them about the situation in Linhai City. He also told them to get ready and go over to support them at any time. It was impossible for Zhang Yi to be in the front while they were enjoying their leisure in the back. Zhang Yi would not allow this to happen. Zhang Yi was making many phone calls, calmly reminding several of them to pay attention to their defenses while he was away. Although the mutants in Daze City had been completely wiped out, the other cities may not be so pure either. Of course, the first thing Zhang Yi did after he went to Blizzard City was to ask Zhu Jing to assure him that he would not allow any forces to invade Tianhai City. At the very least, he had to give a guarantee of security during the time he was away. Only when the security of the rear was guaranteed could Zhang Yi deal with the Neon Ronin without any worries. Liang Yu slowly walked behind Zhang Yi. Liang Yu looked at Zhang Yi's side face from time to time as they were walking out, looking a bit anxious to speak. Zhang Yi was naturally able to detect her abnormality. So after ending the call, he put down the satellite phone and faintly asked, "Do you have something to say? You can just say it straight out." Liang Yu frowned slightly and did not drag her feet as she inquired, "Zhang Yi, will there ever be a day when those of us around you have no more value to you and you abandon us?" Liang Yu's concerns were not without reason. This time, Zhang Yi went to Blizzard City with only her and Flower, but refused to take Uncle Yu and the others with him. Zhou Qiu and Lu Karen were easy to explain away, as they were after all, support-type mutants. But what about Uncle Yu and Su Chunlei? They are both combat-oriented mutants. Zhang Yi didn't bring them along for one reason only: their combat power was no longer enough in the battles Zhang Yi has participated in nowadays. This inevitably caused Liang Yu, who is also a team member, to have some concerns. After listening to Liang Yu's question, Zhang Yi gave a playful smile at the corner of his mouth. Instead of directly answering Liang Yu's question, he asked in return, "Teacher Liang, do you think I am the kind of person who craves to establish a powerful force and constantly develop his team?" Liang Yu blinked. "Isn't that the case?" Zhang Yi answered decisively, "Of course not." He continued, "It's true that from the end of the world until now, it seems that the ranks of our team have grown. But I have never had the intention of creating a large force and then becoming the overlord in the end of the world." He glanced at Liang Yu. "Otherwise, I could have consolidated all the power in Tianhai City at any time. Do you see me doing that?" Liang Yu looked deep in thought. "You really haven't done anything like that." Even after taking the people from the 3 major bases under his command, Zhang Yi had no intention of managing them. This really wasn't something an ambitious person would do. Zhang Yi said indifferently, at the beginning of the apocalypse, I kept gathering talent because I didn't have the ability to protect myself. Everyone huddled together to keep warm, and we were able to survive well. At that time, my criteria for selecting team members was indeed very practical depending on their value. But now, the most treacherous period has passed during the start of the apocalypse. And you and I are no longer in a relationship of simply using each other. Zhang Yi looked at Liang Yu, and his gaze became tender. We are family now. How could a family member resent another for being less useful? Even if you can't do anything, as long as you can stay by my side, that's enough. Zhang Yi's eyes were filled with sincerity, which made Liang Yu, who had some doubts in her heart, feel at ease. She nodded, that's good, in fact, I have long regarded everyone as my family. I hope we can all survive the apocalypse. Zhang Yi nodded with a smile, that's right. So in the future, don't ever think like that again. How can family members doubt each other? Liang Yu lowered her head a little embarrassed, I was thinking too much. I'm sorry. Zhang Yi thought to himself, I'm not really a monster after all. Essentially, Zhang Yi considered himself to just be an ordinary person. He wasn't particularly kind, nor was he particularly evil. All he wanted was to survive the end of the world peacefully. It would be even better if he had a group of warm-hearted companions to rely on. People always need a little spiritual comfort. Therefore, even if Uncle Yu and the others could not help Zhang Yi in the future, Zhang Yi's attitude towards them would not change. Having a group of people you can trust by your side is a treasure in the end times. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu arrived at Xiaomayashan's subway station. He put away the snowmobile and went to the platform to wait for his special train to arrive. The train arrived on time as agreed. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu boarded the special train. This time, since there was no need to pick up people in other cities along the way, it only took less than 2 hours to arrive in Blizzard City. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu got off the train. The platform was quiet, with only a few soldiers standing by. However, Zhang Yi did see a few old friends. The current captain of the Black Robe Investigation Squad, Bai Li Changqing, and old acquaintances Wu Di and Meng Xiu. Upon seeing Zhang Yi, Bai Li Changqing and Meng Xiu both wore smiles on their faces. Although Wu Di still looked arrogant, the look in his eyes when he looked at Zhang Yi still revealed a hint of awe. After all, the last time, Zhang Yi had suppressed his strength and defeated him in a direct fight. Ha ha! Zhang Yi, welcome to Blizzard City. You've come at the perfect time. Bai Li Changqing laughed heartily as he walked over and gave Zhang Yi a bear hug. Zhang Yi asked with some surprise, why have you come? The captain of one of the 6 investigation squads had actually come in person to greet him, which made Zhang Yi feel a little strange. When did he become so well known? Bai Li Changqing let go of Zhang Yi and said with a smile, Commander Zhu asked me to come and pick you up. To be honest, I was a little surprised that you agreed to join this operation. Zhang Yi understood. It must have been the fact that he had destroyed the Mutant Alliance in Days City that had attracted Zhu Zheng's attention. Zhang Yi just smiled calmly at Bai Li Changqing's words. Do you think I would have the possibility to refuse? Bai Li Changqing's smile grew even wider at the corner of his mouth. That's a different matter. Commander Zhu said that you were very cooperative this time and immediately agreed to come. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. This is not a surprising thing, is it? Even I, when faced with an invasion by foreign enemies, cannot possibly save myself alone, can I? Zhang Yi is not stupid. Bai Li Changqing nodded in approval, then sighed, you're right, this trouble is indeed more serious than we thought. When Zhang Yi mentioned this, he couldn't help but look serious. What the hell is going on? Is the Eclipse Moon group that strong? How could they have wiped out 10 mutant forces? Bai Li Changqing said with a serious voice, it's much more serious than you think. Not to mention you, even Commander Zhu was shocked when he heard about what happened. There is something strange about the power of the Eclipse Moon. Do you know how long it took them to deal with those 10 mutant troops? Zhang Yi gazed at him intently, how long? 1 hour. Bai Li Changqing said, word for word. What? Zhang Yi was shocked. 1 hour? No way, that's absolutely impossible. Even if Bian Zhenhua led all the members of the Black Robe Squad in full combat readiness, it would be impossible. There are too many uncertainties in war. Without knowing the enemy, you need to test them carefully and allocate your forces wisely. If this battle was between the Black Robe Squad and 10 teams of mutants, Zhang Yi reckoned it would take at least 10 days or half a month. This would be the case even if Bian Zhenhua used his power of annihilation. Because once your supernatural abilities are revealed, others will also take corresponding measures to deal with them. Even if you are going to lose, they wouldn't let you slaughter everyone within an hour, like slaughtering pigs, would they? Bai Li Changqing said, let's talk about it as we walk. Let's go to the bar and have a good chat. Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow and asked curiously, shouldn't I just go and see Commander Zhu? There was definitely a task for him to complete by coming here. Zhu Jing asked Bai Li Changqing to pick him up, but Bai Li Changqing took him out for a drink instead. Something was up,